Boys, what's good? We are back with the power rankings for week 3. This will be the third iteration of the power rankings, and we are excited. I'm excited to be back for the third week. We have some changes here, but we're to the point where a lot of stuff is staying a little more the same, which is interesting because we're further into the year. But let's not waste any time. Let's just get into it. You probably already know who number 30 is. It is still the Brooklyn Nets, who are now 1-9 on the season. They did pick up their first win this week, beating the Pacers by 9 points, but lost to the Timberwolves by 16, the Pistons by 18, and then blown out by the Knicks by 36. Currently, there's no Cam Thomas. He's missing some time with a hamstring issue. So Cam is out right now, but Michael Porter Jr. has continued to play well. 23 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists per game. Does no longer lead the Nets in assists like he did last week. So falling down a little bit there. But the Brooklyn Nets they can be a tough watch. They're a little closer in a lot of these games than I think people might expect. But by the end of it, usually it ends up in a blowout. Especially with that one against the Knicks, who kind of seem to take these games against the Nets personal, and that ended up in a blowout loss by 36. The rookies have been kind of disappointing. Danny Wolf, Nolan Traore, Ben Seraph have all struggled. I would say Yegor Demin has shown some flashes, but overall, this just isn't a team that's trying to be good. They want a top pick, and they are on pace for it. We move to number 29, the Indiana Pacers, going down one spot from last week. Still missing a lot of their guys. Benedict Mathurin still out. Obi Toppin still out. TJ McConnell still out. Nemhard is looking like he might be ready to come back, but overall, they're just missing a lot of guys. They cut Mac McClung, even though I liked how he was playing for them. They cut him anyway and signed Monte Morris instead. So the Pacers, I think, are more than happy to call this kind of a gap year while Tyrese Halliburton recovers from his torn Achilles. I don't think they seem to have any problem just saying that this is okay the way it is right now. And because of that, because of all the guys they're missing, they're just not competitive in a lot of these games. And that ends up with a lot of losses. So they lost to the Bucks by 2, then to the Nets by 9, the Nuggets by 17, and the Warriors by 31. A winless week for the Pacers this week, dropping from 1-5 to 1-9. But you got to give Pascal Siakam credit because he's continued to play hard despite all the guys being out. 24 points, 8 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists a game. I think Siakam has been really impressive with all the guys out. Jarris Walker's been a little better with more opportunity, which is promising. But overall, the Pacers just aren't a good team right now with Halliburton out, and they're going to continue to struggle while the rest of their guys are out as well. We move to number 28, and that's where we have the Washington Wizards, another team sitting at 1-9. They had started the season with a nice win and being competitive, and I was kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt, but they have just followed that up with a lot of losing, and because of that, I've dropped them, going from 27 down to 28. They're just not a competitive team right now either. I don't think they're necessarily trying to be. They have some good young pieces, whether it's Alex Sarr, who's averaging 19, 8, and 4, as well as being a good defensive presence. Keyshawn George has been solid for them. Trey Johnson has been pretty good as a rookie, but they don't have a point guard right now. I know they would be thrilled to get a guard like Peterson in the draft, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But for right now, they're just missing some key pieces. They're getting young guys a lot of burn, and that's resulting in a lot of losses. Lost to the Knicks by 17, the Celtics by 29, got blown out by the Cavs by 33, and then lost to the Mavs without Anthony Davis by 6 points. A tough loss on that one, and I have them here at 28. Moving on to number 27, I have the Utah Jazz, who currently sit at 3-6, a little better than the 3 teams behind them. But still, especially with the loss of Walker Kessler, I don't think they're going to look to be very competitive. They did win over the Celtics to start that week, followed that up by a loss to the Pistons by 11, and then in the NBA Cup, get blown out by the Wolves by 40 points. And it just wasn't good. Keontae George has continued to be really good in his 3rd season, but Lauri Markkanen is playing like an all-star again. 28 points, 6.1 rebounds, and 2 assists per game. I've been really impressed with what I'm seeing from Lowry, but at this point, it just kind of feels like it's Keontae, Lowry, and nobody else. The loss of Walker Kessler, I think, is going to be a big one, and that's why I have them here down at 27. At number 26, I have the Charlotte Hornets, who also sit at 3-6 on the season. They're another team who had been a little better than I expected out of the gates, like the Wizards. But with LaMelo Ball now being out with an injury, Brandon Miller continues to be out with an injury. I dropped them a little bit, going from 23 down to 26. And only 2 games this week, the fewest of any team, I believe. Lost to the Pelicans by 4 and the Heat by 18. But the bright spot for the Hornets has undoubtedly been rookie Con Knipple, averaging 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.3 assists. Did have a 30-point game recently and is lighting it up from beyond the arc. He's been really good, continues to be another piece to prove why this draft is way better than people expected, and they thought it was good heading into it. But pretty much everyone from this draft, it feels like, has made an impact early in the season, and Con Knipple may have made the biggest one so far. But to me right now, without LaMelo Ball, they're just not super competitive, so I have them down at 26. Moving on to 25, I have the New Orleans Pelicans, who jump a few spots, going from 29 to 25. They did pick up a couple of wins this week over teams that are also going to be low in the power rankings here, beating the Hornets by 4, beating the Mavs by 2, and losing to the Spurs by 7. So Zion Williamson out with an injury again. Jordan Poole out with an injury. DeJounte Murray still out with an injury. Injuries seem to always plague the Pelicans. It doesn't feel like something that's going away, but the young guys have been good. Trey Murphy had a 40-point game this week. Derek Queen got the stamp of approval from Tim Duncan, which is very rare, and he's been solid. 9 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 2 assists on the season, just doing a little bit of everything. And in those 2 games where he first got more play time, they won both of them. So I've liked what I've seen from Derek Queen. Jeremiah Fears has continued to be good as a rookie. So their 2 rookies have been big for them, and a couple of wins jumps them up the rankings from 29 to 25. At number 24, I have the Dallas Mavericks. No movement, same spot I had them in last week. 3-7, they went 1-3 on the week, and they're going to stay relatively low here. Anthony Davis has been missing time. Derek Lively missing time, and it's resulted in losses to the Rockets by 8, to the Pels by 2, and then to the Grizzlies, who have a lot of problems of their own right now, by 14. They did beat the Wizards without Anthony Davis, which is a big reason I'm not going to drop them. Najee Marshall was huge in that game. Cooper Flagg has continued to be solid as a rookie, 14 points, nearly 7 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. But there's just not a ton going on right now in Dallas. It seems more and more likely that Nico Harrison gets fired by the day, as every trade he's made looks horrendous. Jalen Brunson leaving town, Porzingis leaving town, trading Luka Doncic, trading Quentin Grimes. They just didn't get a good return on any of their deals, and it has caused a negative impact on the franchise. Fans aren't interested, the home games aren't selling out anymore, and they're just losing a lot. Cooper Flagg made a comment, this is the most losing he's done in his life, and he's not wrong, but it also doesn't look like that's going to be changing anytime soon. We move to number 23, and I have the Sacramento Kings going up a couple spots. It doesn't have as much to do with how they played this week, more so with the kind of mess behind them. But I thought they've been okay. They lost to the Nuggets by 6, also lost to the Thunder and the Wolves, losing to good teams and then beating the Warriors in a game that they should have won. Russell Westbrook was really good in the games without Domantas Sabonis. Now for the season, averaging 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. Zach LaVine has been really solid for them. DeMar DeRozan still averaging over 20 points. Keon Ellis needs to be getting minutes, though. I'm not exactly sure what Coach Christie's doing. Keon Ellis, at least statistically, is one of the most impactful players on this team, if not the most impactful if you look by advanced numbers. But despite that, he's not playing. So that would be the one thing I would change for them right now. But they were competitive against the Nuggets. They beat the Warriors. So I moved them up a couple spots from 25 to 23. Moving to number 22, I have the Orlando Magic, who have continued to disappoint to start the season. Jamal Mosley kind of seems like he might get fired. When asked about his rotations, he blamed the team and the turnovers, as if his rotations could not cause those turnover issues. Just a big lack of accountability from Coach Mosley right now. Franz Wagner not getting enough touches. I just don't love the way that this team's being coached. And I think that's playing a big part in them losing more than people expected to start the year. A lot of people thought this would be, they'd be in the range of like the Pistons are right now, who are 8-2. No, the Magic are 4-6 and just continue to lose games that they shouldn't. And that's why they're down at 22. They lost to the Hawks without Trae Young. They did beat the Celtics the first time they played, but then lost the second time. Paolo Banchero, to me, has still been the best guy for this team. 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. Franz Wagner, relatively close numbers. Desmond Bane has still been disappointing to start the year, but the Magic overall as a whole have been disappointing, and they just need to play better. Moving to 21, I have the Memphis Grizzlies, who sit at 4-7 on the year. Just one spot over the Magic. I debated whether to have them or the Magic lower. I decided if they went head-to-head right now, I kind of still think the Grizzlies would win. So that's why I have them at 21, but they fall down a spot as well. The Ja Morant kind of debacle there has continued to get worse and worse, shooting under 30% from the field now, I believe, and under 15% from three. It's been a disaster with him. Jaren Jackson Jr. is also playing below his level. The bright spot right now has undoubtedly been Cedric Coward, who looks like a huge impact immediately as a rookie. 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. He did have one inefficient game in the last one, which has been outside the norm for him, but he's been really good overall. They did beat the Mavs in a game that they should have won, no Anthony Davis, and played the Pistons relatively close, but overall this is kind of the week you would expect for how the Grizzlies are playing right now. We move to number 20, and we have another disappointing team from so far this season, the Los Angeles Clippers, who are 3-6 now on the year. I had them at 16 in the power rankings last week when they sat at 3-2. I just said I didn't really like what I was seeing and that the age looked very apparent. And with 4 straight losses this week, that has become more and more apparent. Kawhi Leonard is missing time, but James Harden has continued to go out there and play hard. 22 points, 9 assists per game, nearly 5 rebounds. I like what I'm seeing from James Harden, but essentially everyone else on the team just hasn't been good. Zubats hasn't been what he was a season ago, and because of that, I have them down here at number 20. We move to 19. I have the Boston Celtics, who currently sit at 5-6 on the year. I think they've been a little better than people expected they would be without Jason Tatum, as well as losing essentially their whole front court. But despite that, they've been solid, nearly 500 on the season, and I left them where they were last week. They still sit here at number 19. Went 500 on the week, losing to the Jazz in a close game. If they went 3-1 on the week, they might be a little higher, but that Jazz game keeps them in the same spot. They split with the Magic and blew out the Wizards, as good teams do. Jaylen Brown has really stepped up in the absence of Jason Tatum. 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. I just think they're still solid. I don't think they're a bottom 10 team right now, which is why I have them at 19. And they're just competitive on most nights, even going up against better teams. I think they've played well. Anthony Simons is starting to pick up his game. Derek White has continued to be good. So I have them here at 19. Moving up to 18, I have the Atlanta Hawks, also no movement. I had them at 18 last week, but despite Trae Young being out, I think they've looked solid. No movement, like I said, but lost to the Cavs by 8, beat the Magic without Trae, beat the Lakers without Trae and a couple other guys, and lost to a red-hot Raptors team. They were solid this week. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is their standout guy for me. He's been really good over the course of the season. 17.6 points, 2.5 rebounds, and a little over 3 assists. He's really stepped up in the absence of Trae, and I think he's doing a good job at being part of the reason that the Hawks are staying afloat without Trae Young. We move to number 17. I have the Phoenix Suns, one of the biggest risers of this week, going up 5 spots from number 22 to number 17. Lost to the Warriors by 11, and then beat the Clippers twice in a game where they weren't favored either time. They won both games, thanks to a huge Jalen Green game in the first one. He was not as good in the second, but they won regardless. A lot of that because of how good Devin Booker's been this year. 29 points per game, nearly 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. Is kind of still playing as the point guard, which isn't really what he was meant to do, but he's doing a good job at it. I really like what I'm seeing from D-Book, and the Suns just feel better than they did a year ago. Despite losing Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal, I think the Suns right now are a better team. The vibes are way better. Booker looks to be very happy playing with Jalen Green, and I like what I'm seeing. I like the young bigs with Mark Williams and Malawach. Malawach hasn't gotten a ton of burn yet, but I think he's going to be an impactful guy. So, I mean, just honestly, the Suns to me have really impressed over the past couple weeks, and I have them here at 17 as a reward for that. Moving up to number 16, I have the Golden State Warriors still going down a spot from last week, from 15 to 16. They don't have Steph Curry right now, and they're losing games, which is kind of what you'd expect. They beat the Suns to start the week, which is why they keep the spot above them in this week's power rankings. But 2 straight losses to the Kings and the Nuggets, blown out by the Nuggets. Despite no Steph, still did handle the Pacers, which is what you would hope they would do, and I have to give them credit for that. Steph Curry's been their best guy pretty easily. Nearly 27 points, 3.5 rebounds, a little over 4 assists. I like what I'm seeing from Steph, and if he gets back on the court, we could see the Warriors take a big jump in these rankings. At number 15, I have the Portland Trail Blazers, currently sitting at 5-4 on the year. I did drop them down one spot, a lot of that because of the teams around them, who I think are doing better than expected. But the Blazers have been good. Handed the Thunder their first loss of the season. Did lose to the Lakers without their key guys, and then lost to the Heat without Bam. 2 losses that I don't love that they have on their resume, but the win over the Thunder is a really good one, and they've still been competitive in a lot of games, as you see all games this week within that 10-point mark. Denny Avdia has been huge for them, 25 points per game, 7 rebounds, and nearly 5 assists. Is getting to the free throw line at a superstar level clip. He's been super good for them, and because of that, they are over 500 on the year so far with some surprise wins, and with that, I have them in the top half of these power rankings. We move to number 14, where I have the Toronto Raptors jumping up 3 spots from 17 to 14 with 2 wins over good teams. They beat the Bucks by 28, kind of manhandled them, which is a huge win for them. They beat the Hawks by 12, who, like I said, have been feisty, even though Trae Young hasn't been there. Did lose to the Sixers by 10, but the Sixers have been really good this year. I don't necessarily kind of hold that against them too negatively. We're under 500 at last week's power rankings, move up to 500 on the year. And a lot of people will tell you it's just a collection of guys that don't make a lot of sense, but I really like their top 3 right now with Scotty Barnes, with Brandon Ingram, and with RJ Barrett. All of those guys, I believe, are still averaging over 20. I wanted to highlight RJ, nearly 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. He's gotten a lot of flack over the years, a lot of people saying he's not that good. He's a solid player. I don't think he's an all-star. He probably won't ever be an all-star, but he's just a step right below that, and that's what teams need. And he's been huge for the Raptors, who I have at 14. Then we move up to 13, a team that fell a little bit this week. The Philadelphia 76ers, dropping down 5 spots from number 8 to number 13. They had started the year super, super hot. Heading into this week, were 5-1 on the season, but fell back to earth a little bit. VJ Edgecombe has not quite been at the all-star level he was to start the year, looking a little bit more like the rookie that he is, which is fine. That's what you expect a little bit, but Tyrese Maxey's continue to be great. None of these are super bad losses. The Bulls have been great to start the year. The Cavs are good, and they lost to the Pistons, who have been really good, by 3 points. The win over the Raptors is a good one as well. So I don't think it was a horrible week for the 76ers, but I do think it was a bit of a return to the norm. Trendon Watford had a really weird 25-point triple-double, which was very odd. But the Sixers are still a solid team, which is why I still have them in the top half of the power rankings. Tyrese Maxey is in the MVP conversation right now. 33 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. We move up to number 12. I have the Miami Heat, who currently sit at 6-4. Another team that has kind of been better than people expected to start the year. Tyler Hero still hasn't played a game for them. Bam Adebayo is missing time. It hasn't mattered. They win 3 games this week out of their 4, beating the Clippers, the Hornets, and the Blazers. Only loss coming to the Nuggets, who, surprise, surprise, will be a top 3 team here. Jaime Jaquez has been huge for them. 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. Simone Fontecchio has been really good. Davion Mitchell has been a really good playmaker. The assist numbers for him are really solid. And Norman Powell has been really good as well. So the Heat are just getting performances from a lot of guys that's higher than they expected. Well, higher than the outside public expected anyway. And because of that, they sit at 6-4 and one of the better teams in the East. We move up to number 11, where I have the Chicago Bulls, who currently sit at 6-3 on the season. I have them dropping down 2 spots from number 9 to number 11 with a 1-2 week. That win over the Sixers was a very good one, a comeback win where Vucevic hit the game winner. But still a disappointing week for them with the 2 losses to the Bucks and the Cavs. But both of them, if you hadn't noticed, are top 10 teams. So not super concerning losses. I don't have them taking a big drop. Still, number 11, one of the better teams in the league. Josh Giddey looks like a star. 21 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds, and 9.3 assists in the range of averaging a triple-double. He's been fantastic. And if they decided right now, he would be an all-star starter in the Eastern Conference. Moving to number 10, we have the Milwaukee Bucks, who take a bit of a drop, going from number 4 to number 10. I didn't want to drop more than that. That didn't seem super fair because they're still good. Ryan Rollins has continued to be a revelation for them, and Giannis has been maybe at the best we've seen him in a long time, which is saying a lot because he's been good forever. But Giannis is great right now. Looks like arguably the best player in the world. They beat the Pacers by 2 and beat the Red Hot Bulls by 16. Did have losses to the Raptors, which is a tough one, and the Rockets by 7, but still 6-4 on the year. Like I said, a lot of their role guys performing well, whether it's Cole Anthony, whether it's Gary Trent Jr. or Ryan Rollins. Miles Turner finally playing a little better as well. I was probably a little too ambitious last week, putting them at 4. 10 feels a little better. Moving on to number 9, I have the Houston Rockets, currently at 6-3 on the season. Dropping down 3 spots from number 6 to number 9. The loss to the Spurs is one I thought they should have won, but overall 3-1 on the week. Kevin Durant has remained very solid. Alperen Şengün has been the guy though. 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 7.5 assists. I really like what he's been doing. Amen Thompson is playing well. Reed Shepherd is finally coming together as well. So the Rockets are a solid team. That 0-2 start to the year. They are 6-1 since that point. So the Rockets are one of the more competitive teams in the West, even with Fred VanVleet missing this season with an injury. At number 8 are the Minnesota Timberwolves. Another big jump this week, going from 13 to 8. We saw the return of Anthony Edwards, and because of that, they're dominating. They beat the Jazz by 40, followed that up with a win over the Kings by 27. Julius Randle has continued to be really good for them. 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. Jaden McDaniels looks like he's taking an offensive leap. They still need a point guard. I think that would be the biggest concern for them right now. But they go 3-1 on the week. They've got Anthony Edwards back. There's some momentum on the Timberwolves side. We move to number 7, and I have the Detroit Pistons. Wanted to reward them a little bit for starting this season 8-2. They jumped 4 spots from number 11 to number 7. Didn't want to overreact too much, have them any higher than this, but I thought 7 was a fair assessment for how good they've been to start the year. 4-0 on the week, did beat up on some bad teams like the Jazz and the Nets. The Grizzlies were a bottom 10 team for me as well. But the win over the Sixers is a good one, who've been very good to start the year. Cade Cunningham, I believe, is averaging 25-9. Jalen Duren, nearly 20-12. Asar Thompson averaged 15 points over the last week. They have their guys. The Pistons know what they're looking to do going forward. And I've just been really impressed with how they've started the year. A lot of people wondered how they would kind of maybe fall off a little bit without Malik Beasley, but they don't seem to have missed a beat, and I've been really impressed. At number 6, I have the San Antonio Spurs, currently sitting at 7-2 on the season. It kind of felt like a week where they disappointed a little bit, probably because they started with that loss to the Lakers. But they still went 2-1 on the week. They lost to the Lakers by 2 and then beat the Rockets and beat the Pelicans, who are having a pretty solid week. That was their only loss. And the Spurs just continue to impress. 7-2 on the year. De'Aaron Fox has now returned from injury, so they're about to get even better. And Victor Wembanyama, 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. Stephon Castle has been really impressive. Dylan Harper is missing some time right now, which is maybe not necessarily a bad thing. Allows Fox and Castle to play together a little bit. We saw Harper and Castle play together, and now they'll just infuse Harper back into that lineup and kind of see how he does. But the Spurs are really good. Adding De'Aaron Fox as a pick-and-roll partner with Wemby is going to make them even better. I have them at number 6. At number 5, I have the New York Knicks going up 5 spots from number 10 to number 5. 6-3 on the season, went 3-0 on the week, beating up on a couple bad teams like the Wizards and the Nets. But the win over the Wolves was a very good one, kind of a revenge game for Karl Anthony Towns. And I've liked what I've seen from him to start the year. 21 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. He and Jalen Brunson have been good. I thought Mikal Bridges has looked a little better than he did last year. And I was a little concerned with them to start the year. I mean, they were 3-3 last week when we did this. They're now 6-3. I think they've kind of flipped the switch back around, adjusted to the new coach, new rotations. Jordan Clarkson has been better. So the Knicks, like people expected, are one of the best teams in the East, and I have them at number 5. We move to number 4, which is where I have the Los Angeles Lakers, currently 7-3 on the season. I did drop them 1 spot from number 3 to number 4. That loss to the Hawks without Trey was a bad one. I didn't particularly enjoy that loss, but I really liked how they've performed with guys missing a lot of time. Austin Reeves, Luka have both missed time. LeBron hasn't even played a game yet. So adding what I would say at this point is a top 15 player in the league to a team that's already 7-3 is going to be a huge addition. So because of that, because of how well they've played despite the circumstances, I have them at number 4. We move up to number 3, which is where I have the Denver Nuggets, who went undefeated on the week, 4-0, beat the Kings, the Heat, the Warriors, and the Pacers, just doing exactly what they're supposed to, and Nikola Jokic is picking up his scoring, which should scare people. Because to start the year, he seemed a little more passive. He was still getting his rebounds, he was still getting his assists, but now he's scoring as well. 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 12 assists per game. He's done a great job. Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon have seen their scoring drop off a little bit as Jokic has picked his up, but they've been awesome. 7-2 to start the year. They're the second best team in the West, and I don't think there's a huge debate on that right now. I have them at 3. They did drop 1 spot, but only because I like what I'm seeing that much from the team ahead of them, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are currently 7-3 on the season now. Went 3-0 on the week. Darius Garland has returned. They are coming back to full strength, and they are dominating. Beat the Sixers, who were red hot, by 11. Blew out the Wizards, just beating teams how you should. And then they beat the Bulls as well. So 2 teams last week that both only had 1 loss, and then a blowout over a bad team. That's a great week for the Cavs. Donovan Mitchell has been phenomenal. 31 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. Looking back at his first team All-NBA level if he keeps it up like this. So Donovan Mitchell's been really good. The Cavs are really good. And like people expected coming into the year, I think they're the best team in the East right now. But moving on to the best team in the league, it is still the Oklahoma City Thunder, who now sit at 10-1 on the season. I did not drop them any spots in the rankings despite a loss. They did lose their first game, losing to the Blazers by 2 points. But they did beat the Clippers, beat the Kings, and beat the Grizzlies. AJ Mitchell continues to be really good. 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. So I see a comment here. It says, I think the Kings should be on the bottom 3 because at least these other teams are trying to lose, and the Kings are trying everything in their power to get a pick in the 7 to 12 range. So I don't think the Kings are even trying to get a pick in the 7 to 12 range. I think they're trying to be good, which is something I can respect. And I just think they're better than the teams that are below them. So like you're saying, the teams that are trying to be on the bottom end, they're succeeding. So the Nets are 1-9, the Pacers are 1-9, and the Wizards are all 1-9. If the Kings played any of them right now, the Kings would be favored in those games, and I think they would win, which is why I have them higher. I just think they're better than those bottom three teams. I think they're better than all the teams I had below them. So I kind of get the sentiment of what you're saying here, but I think the Kings are just better than them. So that's why I have them at 23, I believe. I had the Kings at, but Keon Ellis needs to play for them. I'm sure you agree. But yeah, that's going to do it for the power rankings for this week. So thank you for the comment. Thank you all for watching. That's going to be it for me, but I hope you guys have a good one. Again, I appreciate you watching.